Hello there, this is your wonderful Mr. Greer, and I'm going to be helping you out with your Excel Chapter 3, Module 3 homework. We're going to be doing Apply Your Knowledge, Extend Your Knowledge, and Expand Your World together. So I just want to start off by saying that I haven't done these before, and I'm going to be doing them on the fly, so you and I will be able to go at the same pace. I hope I'm not too fast, but that's why you have a pause, play, and rewind button. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Apply your knowledge. Understanding logical tests and absolute cell referencing. Now we've talked about this in class. Says, to complete this assignment, you will be required to use data files. Please contact your instructor for more information about accessing the required files. So we're going to go ahead and download these. These are found in our Canvas shell in assignment 1, and you should be able to get that. So let's go ahead and start looking at this. For each of the following logical tests, indicate whether an if function in Excel would return a value of true or false given the following cell values. So we're going to build this up here really quick. So let's jump over into Canvas. Oh, look at this handsome guy right here. He is such a stud. Let's go to assignment EX3-1. We're going to download, for this first one, Apply 3-1 Absolute Cell References, XLS. And this looks good. So we're not going to use that till the second half of what we're doing here, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open it up, and it's going to give us a little reference area. I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to see if I can enable it, and then I'm going to create a new sheet. This sheet is going to be, I'm going to call this part 1 because it's asking me if I would get a return true or false value. So an easy way to determine whether or not this is true, and I just want to see if I'm thinking properly here. Yep. So an easy way to do this is they tell us on the instructions for each of the following logical tests indicate whether an if function in Excel would return a value of true or false given the following cell values. So C22, so I can actually just go to C22. I'm just going to go down to C22 and I'm going to type in an 88. You don't have to do this, but this would be an easy way to do it. On H12, I am going to type in a 15. This is given to us in the book. L3 is 24. M14 is right there. M14 is 150. And G4 is 5. Now we can just look at this, and the first one, number 1, it says C2 is greater than H12. Well, just looking up there, C2 is 88, H12 is 15. We know that one is true. I'm going to just go up here and label these down so that we have them in order here. In fact, I'm going to create a quick little series that'll do 1 through 8. Learned how to do that in class. So this one equals if, parentheses, we want to do our logical test. So we could just copy exactly what's in the book here. C2, oh, I put it in 22. We'll fix that in a second here. My mistake. So if C2 is greater than H12, comma, if true, come back and say true. If false, true. If false, say false. Close parentheses, enter. Now it'll come up false because I don't have it in the right spot, but I'm going to go ahead and put 88 here, and notice that it automatically changed it to true as soon as I put the number in the right spot. So if I was to change this number, so we're just looking at this once again, it's just saying, is this number bigger than this number? If it is, say true. If it's not, say false. And it is, so it's saying true. Let's go ahead and do the next one. Equals if. So we're looking at if L3 equals G4, these do not equal. We can see that just by looking at this. If it's true, write true. Keep doing that. If it's false, write false. It's false. Not too difficult. If, number 3, M14, oh, that's good, plus 15 times H12 divided by 10 is greater than or equal, or I mean less than or equal to L3, comma, say true, comma, say false. It's false. Now we have order of operations going on there. There's a lot in that equation. Do I care? Once again, like I said in class, I don't care about doing the math. I just care about being able to tell the computer what to do, because the computer could do so much more math than I could ever think of so much faster. So this is looking good. We're going to go down to 4. This one is similar, but let's just go ahead and do it. If, parentheses, M14, and we can tell if something is working out here or not, minus G4 is less than H12 divided by C2, comma, true. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't write my equals at the beginning of this, or false. So notice that it wasn't highlighting. I was confused there for a second. It's because I didn't hit equals. Sorry, let me just turn that phone down so it doesn't bug us. So like I was saying, I didn't have the equals in front of here. Now we can see that these cells are all being referenced in the formula. True and false works out. When I click enter, it's false. Okay. Next, number 5, equals if, parentheses. Now we start off with the parentheses here, so we're going to throw in a second parentheses, because that's the first parentheses is for the function, the second parentheses is for the logical test. So we're going to say C2, if C2 plus H12, end parentheses, times 2 is greater than or equal to L3 minus parentheses C2 divided by 4, close parentheses, times 2, comma, say true. If not, say false, close parentheses. It's true. All right, we're on a roll here. See, so this isn't very hard. I'm not even thinking about it once I put the numbers into the Excel sheet. That's why I thought I wanted to show you this. We could sit here and think about this all day and try to figure out what would it calculate and do the math. But I think that's rather pointless, because Excel does the math for us. We just need to know how to get the computer to do the math. Once again, if, we should be really good at these if functions by the time we get done here. L3 plus 300 is greater than H12 times G4 plus 10. And we're going to say, if that's true, then say true. If it's false, say false. It's true. Number 7, G4 times M14. Notice I don't even care about the numbers. Once again, I'm just going to reiterate this point. I'm not even looking at the numbers. I'm just typing in a formula. Is greater than or equal to 2 times H12 plus 5, close parentheses, so H12 plus, and I'm sorry, it's 25 here. And then we have to make sure that we put in here, I'm just saying equals. We don't want to do that. We want to say if, parentheses, all this is true, comma, say true, comma, say false. We're doing if functions. Enter. It's true. So this equals if. We always have to start off with the function H12 equals 10 times, parentheses, C2 divided by 8, and say true. If not, say false. It's false. So we have a true, false, 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 true, 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 false. It'd be really good if you turn this in so your instructor, like me, could see what the formulas are. If you could do this control and the button just to the left of the 1. It's the little accent. You can see exactly that we did all those things. And there it is. So that's good. So part 1's done. Part 2, write cell L23 as a relative reference, absolute reference, mixed reference with the column varying, and mixed reference with the row varying. This sounds a little complicated, but I'm just going to say part 2. Oops, I wanted to change this down here. So part 2, this will make it easy for me to read. So we want L23 as a relative reference, an absolute reference. So as an relative reference, L23. That's pretty simple. I'm going to zoom in so we can see that I just did that. So equals L23. That's just relative. In fact, what I'm going to do is over here I'm going to say relative, absolute, mixed, and then column. Oh, this is mixed with column. So these are two different ones, column and row. I'm going to indent these because they're going to indicate that this isn't what I'm going to do. So absolute, if I say equals L23, and remember, you can just hit F4. Your computer might require you to hit function F4, or you could just put the $2 in front of it, and that is a relative, or that's an absolute cell. So it's not going to move the column. It's not going to move the row. Now, if we want to do a mixed one with the column being fixed, we would say equals, and remember, all of the letters are columns. They go up and down like in a building. So we're going to say $L23. This means don't move the column, but you can move the row. This one here says equals L, because we want to keep the column right. And then absolute 23, which means don't move the row. Pretty easy. It's awesome. Part 2, done. Finally, part 3 in the instructions. Now, we downloaded this, as I showed you from Canvas. We open it up, and I'm going to just relabel this part 3 so I can keep it normal in my head here. And I'm going to move it over. Great. Let's see here. So we're going to start off, and it says, enter the formula in cell C8 that divides the sum of cells C5 through C7 by cell C4. Okay, that sounds complicated, but let's just do what it says really quick here. So we're going to start in C8. So we want this formula in C8 to equal, it says divide the sum of these by C4. So I'm going to say equals, I'm going to start off with my sum of these three things divided by C4. Write the formula so that when you copy it to cells D8 through F8, Excel will adjust all the cell references according to destination cells. So we just want to make sure that's a reference cell. It looks like that. We haven't put any $ in here. Verify your formula by checking it out against the values in C8, D8. Okay. So what we're going to do is we can look down here and see that it's supposed to say 4, 4, 5, 6. This first one says 4. That's great. I can drag it across and say 4, 4, 5, 6. Boom. I didn't even do anything to that. I just did exactly what looked like it was telling me to do. Number 2, enter a formula in cell G5. So I'm going to start off by saying G5. We're going to do a formula. So this equals that divides the sum of cells C5 through F5 by B5. So same thing, just to left to right instead of up and down. So we're going to say sum of C5 through F5, close parentheses, divided by B5. Enter. 7.333. Now, I'm sure we're going to just drag this down. we have a 5 and a 3.5. Now, in your book, in figure 3.83 or 3-83, it actually shows what we're supposed to be getting here. And so far, I'm right. So this is good. Looks like everything is working out well. Let's see here. So number 3, enter a formula in cell C9 that divides. Okay, so I'm going to go find C9 first. So this equals, that divides the sum of cells C5 through C7 by C4. Write the formula using an absolute cell reference so that when you copy the formula, cell C4 remains absolute. All right, so we're going to say equals the sum of these 3 divided by C4. And we want to make this absolute, so we're going to put dollar signs in front of it. So this means, once again, that these cells, as we move this across, are going to move, but this cell will always stay because we've locked the column and we've locked the row. Looks good so far. If I do this right, according to the book, the figure that they give us, I should have a 3.2 here, a 3 here, and a 2.4 here. So before I have even done it, let's just see. Oh, look at that. It's like I know what I'm doing. I love it. All right, so H4, or I'm sorry, in number 4, in cell H5, but they're going to have us do the same thing, just left to right this time. Enter a formula in cell H5 that divides the sum. Okay, so we're going to say the same thing. So sum of these 4 divided by a cell in B5 and make that absolute. So I'm going to go ahead and enter. Now I should get below here when I drag this down 6.666 to this with 7th and 7. So let's go ahead and try this. Boom. Just like it looks in the book. That's fantastic. Number 5, apply the worksheet name cell references to the sheet tab and apply orange accent to theme to the color of the sheet tab. So right down here, we have the sheet tab. So I'm going to change this from part 3 to cell references. And then I want to change the color, right mouse click, tab color. We're going to use orange accent to as the color. Boom, did that. I would like you to add a dash followed by your name to the worksheet title in cell E1 or A1. That would be fantastic. So let's say dash here. Okay. Save it. And so we're going to save as, and I'm going to actually ask you to do a save as with your name on the front. So just like that. I'm going to go find where I have been saving everything. You don't have to have this exact same spot. Oh, and you see it took my name off when I did that. Save as. So now I'm in the right spot. I just want to turn in with my name so that when Mr. Greer is grading it, he doesn't have to look up who it is every single time. Perfect. Now, there's a little bonus at the end here. It says, how would you rewrite the formula in cell H5 using a relative and mixed cell references only to come up with the same results as shown in figure 3-83 and to produce the same results currently showing in cells G6, G7, in cells H6 and H7 when the formula in H5 is copied to those cells? Okay, this sounds like a lot. Not too hard though. How would we rewrite the formula in cell H5 using a relative and mixed cell references only? Okay, this isn't too bad to come up with the same results. So if I was to use this as a mixed, I made this absolute, but the only thing I care about in C9, I'm sorry, they're asking us for H5. The only thing I'm caring about in H5 that needs to stay is, I don't care about going right to left because all I'm going to be doing is dragging this down. So I can actually change this so I don't, so with a mixed formula, take out that dollar sign. So now B will shift If I drag this right, it will actually move this entire thing right. But as I go down, it will give me the same information. So I can show that by just dragging it down. Ta-da, exact same thing. But I'm going to go ahead and make it right. But I just wanted to show you that you could do that fairly easily because we aren't actually using the absolute and the B for that formula. Great, I'm going to save that. The next thing we're supposed to be doing is extend your knowledge. Now, in extend your knowledge, it says extend the skills you learned in this module and experiment with new skills. You may need to use help to complete the assignment. Okay, this is good to know. The fill handle and nested if functions. Ooh, nested if functions. So I don't know if we remember this from class, but that's an if within an if. And so we can kind of run this. Instructions. Run Excel and open the workbook, extend 3-1, fill and if. If necessary, make fill the active sheet. So I'm going to go back into Canvas. I'm going to scroll down here and say, extend your knowledge, fill and if, XLS. I'm going to download that. Comes onto my computer, and I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. Here it is. I'm going to enable editing right up on top. And we have fill and if. So it said make it the active sheet. Well, we're in fill, so we don't have to. That would just mean click into it if we needed to. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Looks like we've got quite a few things in here. Looks like we're going to be filling in some of these. It's kind of nice. So using the fill handle on one column at a time to propagate the 12 series through row 14 as shown in figure 3-84, which is on the next page in the book. We want it to come out with the right amount of time, the days, the day, the abbreviation. I'm not sure exactly, but we're going to figure this out. Now notice that some of these have 1, some of them have 2. I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and see if I drag this down. Look at that. Right off the bat, it guessed that it was a series. Now if I do this on number 2, I drag straight down, it guessed that it was a series also. So we can see that we have different days getting filled in. If I compare this, yep, wait, actually it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday should be 1. Oh, I should actually be going one more here. This should be all the way down to 7. Ta-da. Now Tuesday, now if I start dragging Tuesday, it's gonna continue, and this says it should say Tuesday everywhere. So I'm gonna jump in and say Tuesday twice. This tells it I don't want you to build a series off of it, so I just want you to drag Tuesday all the way down. Tuesday through Thursday, we're gonna drag this down, and it's gonna give us the pattern that it sees that we need to do. It looks like it's skipping a day the whole time. We should end on a Friday according to the book. Oh, there it is, great. January, we're going to jump all the way through January. That worked out just wonderful. We have an abbreviation of January, all the way through January, all the way through the year and back again. We have a series of just numbers, so we can just grab it and drag it down. Works out wonderful. We can see that we have year 1 and year 2. We can actually, instead of typing year 1, 2, 3, 4, we can just drag that. And we're just seeing the power of Excel. It guesses to think, what are we doing? Now, this is a good one. The series is 3, 6, 9, 12. We could just see that it thinks that, oh, they're building a series based on 3 at a time. So here we go. Percentages, it's gonna, if we start dragging this, it's gonna use the same amount to jump up the percentage every time. We should end on 36.4, perfect. Same thing with decimals. We're gonna drag this one down. We should end on 6.85 according to the book. And 2017 through 2018, we should end on 2029. And we did. Perfect. That wasn't too hard. That was just dragging each one. I'm going to go ahead and hit save so I don't lose any of my work. Let's see here. So it says autofill. We did that in cells O2 through O13. Indicate the actions used with the fill handle to propagate the series. For instance, O2 enter drag. Oh, so on this one, all I had to do was column A. I'm looking back over here. What did I have to do on that one? I had to drag. On column 2, all I had to do was drag. Column 3, I had to write Tuesday in C3, then drag. I had to highlight or select D2 through 3. I'm going to use colon like we talked about through D3 in class, then drag. And the rest of these, I think I just had to, let's see here, drag. Oh, I had to I had to select. Okay, then I just had to drag. I just had to drag. I just had to drag. Oh, I think that one actually came up with a 1 and a 2. So yeah, I'm gonna select. This was G2 through G3, and then drag. I needed to select, yeah, let's see here, year 1 and year 2. H2 to H3, and drag. Column I had to select. Oh, and you notice even here it's starting to guess what I'm trying to do, I, and it filled the rest of them in. I think on 2017 though, I just had to drag. It's pretty amazing though that it just said, oh, he's selecting 2 and then dragging. It could figure out that even my reporting of a series was a series. I love Excel for that. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over to, it says D20. Ooh, down here, there's something hidden. It's a 0. While holding the control key, which is far left bottom of your keyboard, one at a time, drag the fill handle 3 cells to the right, to the left, down, and generate 4 series of numbers beginning with 0, incrementing by 1. So I'm going to click and drag left, click and drag down, undo that. I'm going to come back over here, select this, click and drag down, click and drag to the right, click and drag up. So we can see that it's actually giving us positive numbers if we go one way, or negative numbers if we go the other way. It's pretty great. Select cell Hotel 20. Point to the cell border so that the pointer changes to a plus sign with 4 arrows. Here we go. And then we want to drag the pointer to H22, so we can just click on it and drag it down to here and then let go, and notice we moved. So if we just grab anything besides that bottom right corner on the edge, we can move a cell. Okay, so now we're going to use a control. We're going to come over here, we're going to grab it, and we're going to move this over here to K22 with the control button down. Notice it copied it over to another cell. So we can move it, and then we can copy it with that control key down. Let's see here, flipping the page. Select cell K20. Drag the fill handle into the center of K20 until the cell is shaded and the cell contents are deleted. So in cell K20, what we want to do is we want to click on the bottom right and drag up to the left until we see this kind of shade out, and then we just let go and it's deleted the cell. Number 6 says select cell range H2, go back up here, H2 through I14, right here. Insert a 3D column chart onto a new sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and insert. I can say recommended. Let's see here. Is this a 3D? No, that's cluster column. We want a 3D column chart right over here. 3D column chart. I'm going to go ahead and stick with this first one here. Click OK. And I want to put this on its own sheet. I'm sorry, so we want to move the chart. We want to move it onto its own sheet called well, it doesn't give me a new one, so I'm just going to say chart 1. Click OK. So we have chart 1. We want to change the chart title, so we're going to double click on that. Chart title should be Annual Breakdown. Good. Add a data label or data table with no legend keys to the chart. So if we come over here, we could say, okay, we want to do a data table with no legend keys to the chart. So we just did. Notice that we just added all this stuff up here and over here. Apply the chart sheet name column chart. So we're going to go down here and say column chart. And then we want to move it behind the fill page. So we're going to click it and drag it over here. So we have fill, column chart, and if. Apply it. Good. So number 10 is save the workbook. And we're going to just do a save as. We're going to go ahead and throw it to where we normally would save stuff, which is on my APP104 folder. And I'm going to go ahead, like I asked, and put my name into it. Then save. Great. Now, instructions part 2. Switch to the if sheet. Here it is. We're going to go ahead and switch over here. Looks like we've got some of these things. We're going to be calculating a pass-fail or a grade for everybody. Write an if function in cell C2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write an if function, if, parentheses, that assigns a grade of pass, so that would be true or false, if the score in B2 is, so this is the beginning of the actual formula. So if the score in B2, so if B2 is 50 or above, is greater than or equal to 50, then, comma, if true, put pass. If not, put fail. So this is if it's a pass-fail, we can see that. Enter. Whoops, let me just make sure I didn't do that wrong. If B2 is greater than or equal to, if true, do pass. If false, do fail. And I'm sorry, what I didn't do here was we have to actually put this in quotes for pass and fail, put it in quotes. We wanted to write this text out. Ta-da! Works like a charm. So if B2 is greater than or equal to 50, then do a pass. If not, do a fail. We're going to drag this all the way down. It was asked us to. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and just, this isn't in the book, but I'm going to align it for right now. Now, we want to write a nested if function in D2. We talked about this in class, but I just want to make sure I'm clear. It's an if within an if, and we're probably going to do an if within an if within an if. So we're going to nest pretty deep into this function so that we can come up with a grade. There are different ways to do this, but we're going to do it with an if function today. So write a nested if function in cell D2 that assigns a grade of A for scores between 80 and 100, a grade of B for scores 65 through 79, and a grade of C for scores 50 through 64, and a grade of F. So wow, we're going to have to go ahead and construct a 4-layer deep if function. So keeping this you know, in our head is going to be the hardest part. So let's go ahead and try this. I haven't done this yet. If, what is our thing? If our grade, let's start with A, is, so if our grade, B2, is greater than or equal to 80, I don't need to do the 100, then I want you to assign the value of A, I'm sorry, then I want you to do another if function. So if it is an 80 to 100, then do A. Let's try this. If not, I want you to do another if function. Then I want you to do if the B2 is greater than or equal to. Now we've already taken anything that's 80 and above will go to A, so we don't have to worry about it. But this is if it's not there, then it's going to run this one. So we already know that all the 80 and above is taken care of. Now we're working with anything below that, which our next grade would be 65 through 79. So 79 is automatically right below 80, so we don't have to worry about creating a threshold. So we want to know if it's greater than or equal to 65, then we want you to give them a B. If not, we're going to do another if. So this is a nested if function. We're going to do multiple ifs. So now we've done everything from 65 and above and 80 and above. So now we're going to come down to that C grade. So that's everything if B2, once again, is greater than or equal to 50. Give them a C. And if not, we have our final one for all the fails, comma, give them an F. So we know that it's not greater than 50. We're going to go ahead and close this off. I have got my fingers crossed. This seems like the right nested if function for me. Let's see here. Oh, we needed to throw in some parentheses that I didn't do, so it's asking for me to correct the 3 parentheses. We should have done 1, 2, 3 because I started 1, 2, 3, and I only closed off 1. I'm going to say yes, fix that for me. And it says this person got an F. So let's drag it down and let's just see if all these are working. I'm going to center it so I can see a little bit better. So 64. Well, a C was supposed to be anything that was 50 to 64. Looks like it's right. Let's go ahead and jump. Oh, 100 equals an A, and 91 equals an A, 35 is an F. This looks pretty good. I think we did this right on the first try. So if you're just trying to follow along for homework's sake, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to do an F2. This is the function right here that you want to make sure you have. I'm going to go ahead and escape. I'm going to zoom in on it. We want to make sure our function looks like this. You can pause it right here if you need to. And then we just drag it down. But this is a nested if function. So it's an if within an if within an if within an if. It's 4 deep. It's like Inception. Christopher Nolan did not write the homework assignment, though. All right. Write nested if function if requested. Change the student number in cell A3. Oh, I like that idea. So student number in A3 to your student number. No, you don't need to do that. But we do want to save it with our name, which I did. So I'm going to go ahead and resave this. And then students who do not take the test receive a score of NS. How would you include a score of NS as a grade in each of steps of 1 and 2? Whew, okay, it's a tough one. Let's pretend for a moment here. I'm just going to make this up. You don't have to do this on here, but I'm going to make a new student number, 479, and they did not take the test. So what we want to do is we don't want to give them an F. We want to give them a score of NS. So on both of these. And it has to do with a null. So I think we could say, now this can get really complicated, so I'm not going to go through and redo everything we did, but but just keep in mind that we need to tell it that there's nothing there. So we're going to do an if, and this would have to be a nested if up above, but if B19, I'm just going to make this up, is greater than 0, then, we could do our other if function. I'm going to say 0, or if it's false, meaning that they didn't take the test, so it's anything greater than 0, put ns. And sure enough, it pops up as ns. So this is just an extra added little thing that we get from it, but lets us kind of see that we can tell it in one way or another that we are trying to work on something else. Okay, finally, we are going to do expand your world. Okay, so I'm going to jump in and go to my expand your world. I have expand 3-1, education indicators. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. It says you're working as part of a group creating a report on historical education trends. I'm going to enable editing. In the developing nation of Mali, comparing 3 related development indicators concerning school enrollment over time. Your task is to format the worksheet containing the historical data, chart the historical education indicators, and make the chart available to your group using OneDrive. Ooh, we're going to do an Office 365 thing. Run Excel, and then open the workbook, expand 3-1 education indicators. So we've done that, just open it up from Canvas. Perform the following tasks. Save the workbook under the file name. Charted, so we're going to be adding indicators charted. I'm going to go ahead and save this not just with that, but I'm going to go ahead and save as. I'm going to browse because I'm not using OneDrive even though it's telling us to. Go to my desktop, I'm going to save this because that's where I'm saving everything. And I'm going to call it with my name. And then I'm going to go to the end and say charted. Excellent. Number 2, format the worksheet using techniques you've learned to present data in a visually appealing way. Okay, so it's pretty much just letting us do whatever we want here. I'm going to go ahead and just try and decide how I want to do. I'm going to do this the way I like to do it. This isn't necessarily what the book is asking for, but I'm going to go ahead and merge and center. I'm going to click on this, do a title, click on this, do a subtitle of some type. Sure, I'll do a heading 2, why not? This group right here, I'm actually going to highlight all the way across. We're going to call this a heading 3. Okay, we're slowly but surely making this together. I could go in and dump yellow in there. Who knows? I'm just making this up as I go. Trying to make it visually appealing. Don't know if that's succeeding or not. Create charts that present the data for each of the 3 indicators. So we have 3 indicators, ratio, ratio, and ratio. So we want to put together a chart that show these things. And we want to show over this course of time. I want to highlight that, insert. We're supposed to think about what kind of charts to use. I'm going to see, what do they recommend I use? Okay, this looks good, why not? I'm going to go ahead and use a line chart for this one. Notice that because I highlighted it, it's already put it up here. Explains exactly what it is. 1, perfect. My next one, I'm going to do the same type of thing. I'm going to highlight this, then I'm going to hold the control key down and highlight the second group. I'm going to go up and say insert, recommended charts. This time I'm going to go ahead and use a bar chart, or a column chart, excuse me, clustered column. Show me some increases going on here, that's great. Finally, I'm going to grab the top again, and then grab, with the control key down, this one, insert, recommended charts. We'll just go with the line filled in. Why not? I'm going to drag this one down now. The struggle is real to get that thing down there. Did it. Okay. So got that. Format the charts to present the best data in the best, clear, attractive format. I could add data labels to this, but it seems pretty decent to me. I mean, sure. Let me throw some data labels on there so I can see the time. Let me see if I do that. We're going to look for the number just because this isn't even formatted as a number. I'm going to format it with 0 decimal places. Why not? This kind of gives us a rough idea, approximation of what's going on here. The rest of this, I think, looks good. I mean, I don't feel like I need to overdo this and make it super complicated. They all look similar also with the same color and theme, so I like that. Give each worksheet a descriptive name. And color using tabs. Oh, so I think they want us to make each one of these their separate sheet. So I'm just going to click on it, go up to Format, Design under Chart Tools, move the chart. Let's throw it into a new chart sheet. We're going to call this ratio female to male. Won't let me use the slash. Ratio female to male enrollment. Actually, let's just call it ratio enrollment. There's one. Let's go back over here. Let's go ahead and move the chart to, I'm going to call this one ratio secondary. Excellent. Finally, let's go down and grab this last one. Move the chart. Ratio secondary enrollment. Let's try that. Okay. Male to female. Ratio boys to girls in primary and secondary. Good. And ratio. Perfect. It's got all that done. We could give it a descriptive look. I'm going to move this one over. I'm going to call this data. Why not? I get to decide. Ratio enrollment. I'm supposed to make it look pretty. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Tab color for the second one. Sure, let's go aqua. Tab color for the third one. I'm just picking yellow. There we go. They're nice and pretty, if that's what you call this. And so my tab didn't stay here. Tab color yellow. There it goes. There. So we've got all those going. I like it. And then we could justify our chart types if we wanted to get some extra credit, but I'm not going to do that. So this is basically how to expand your world done. All right. I hope that helps. And then you would submit it in.